There are two of the square version, square grip, then the figure 4. We're going to look at the difference between a choke and a strangle. Okay, a choke and a strangle. So there is a difference. Now, in Japanese, it's shimewaza. Shime means to constrict or pinch together. That's what, but generally people call it strangle or choke. It is. It's choking or strangling. So we're going to look at with Hadaka Jime, the no-gi, the naked strangle, naked choke. We're going to look at different variations. What is a choke? What is a strangle? So here we go. This first is two versions of Hadaka Jime. One will be against the trachea. Okay, and anytime you block or obstruct the airway, the trachea, that's a choke. Okay, it's a choking action, like when somebody chokes on food. You give them the Heimlich. Okay, so this is what this is. And, okay, that's standard there. Hadaka Jime. All right. So I've got him here, locked him in tight. There we go. Okay, Hadaka Jime. It's against the trachea. All right. Now another way you can do Hadaka Jime, an older version, and I don't know if police still do this or not. I'm not really sure. But what they'll do is they'll come and it's against the carotids now, which is against the blood. Okay, so in the first one, I'm blocking the airway, which stops the oxygen from going to the brain. The second way, I'm attacking the carotids and cutting off the blood, stopping the air from going to the brain. So this one like this, and Hadaka Jime like that. Your elbows down, and it's kind of like his head's in the middle here, and it's a nutcracker. You're squeezing him in like this. And this action here is you get him like that. Okay? So that's an older version of Hadaka Jime. Right? But you see this one as well here. This is my preference because it hurts more. And they know they've been really strangled or choked. Okay, because when you get them like this, it's a choking, gagging reflex.
So one of the things I do when I'm teaching this choke is when they come here, instead of making this elbow, I always make sure they pull this elbow back across the rib cage. This is what pulls that choke in really tight, and then you can tap down. But keeping it in here tight against your ribs.
And when you clamp your head next to his,
push in,
look at that! Look at that right there.
And then I clamp down.
Now you're doing the version that's attacking the trachea.
Right.
You're using
right
and show the bone you're using, right?
I'm using the wrist bone
right
here.
wrist right there, and that is right there.
And then I bring this in and tight, here tight, and push into it.
And now when you square up on that grip, and now with your elbow pulls back and pulls him into the choke.
Right.
Literally the choke because you're obstructing his airway.
Just a little twist as I pull back and down. And it just kind of goes like this.
Yeah, there are a lot of these small things that really work. And like we always like to joke about, strangles and chokes are the great equalizer. Because, a much smaller person, can do it on a larger person. Everybody does have a neck.
People with bony wrists can get in there tighter. But even if I'm doing this one here, I'm still pulling this ribs across my rib before I finish into the choking.
And you're driving that in. Let me get a back view of that. Do that again, and let me get your left hand. So show me that.
When I come here and here, even if I'm doing this specific, I pull these back and pull this in and push down at the same time.
And he's really trapped with your head and your arms, and of course over the shoulder.
I pull it in here to make sure it's not sticking out here where he can grab it, or you lose your strength out here. You don't have as much pull. Here,
correct.
Lots of pulling, lots of tightness.
There you go. And in this particular case, form that again, will you? In this particular case, we're using the one.
I might start here, but
you'll slide it up.
More, then I can let it slide up a little bit.
Now it's more of the blood choke against the carotids. There you go. Now, variations of it are, if you got long arms like me, I can get away with a choking action when doing the old version of Hadaka Jime. The older version, which is figure 4, as it's often called, okay? My arms are long enough, I can still do this and put it on my biceps, and catch it like that, and I can do it. But generally, most people will do it this way and catch it. Okay, that's the more older version of Hadaka Jime. Can you show the ones where you have a little different angle how you do it compared to me? So
normally when I'm doing this, I always start out with a seatbelt grip over under on the back, and then I'm going to come up and I catch the shoulder. And that gives me a little bit of a time and a foothold in this tug of war that's about ready to happen. Because as soon as I start going for a choke, Mike's first reaction is to grab a hold of my hand. Okay? If it's hanging out here in the middle of nowhere, I'm not going to get my other hand out before he clears it. So once I let go, it comes right up on that shoulder. That gives me something to hold on to, so while he starts tugging on it, I can get my other hand up and grab. Okay? And my angle is somewhere in between the two that Coach Steve just showed. Okay? And that's mostly because they're usually pulling the arm down. So I catch it through here and I crank my forearm into the back of the scapula, okay, and then collapse like that. Okay, so you push your head into the back by where the ear is, and then crank your forearm in. Now if that still isn't working,
move your hands just so you can see how that action is there.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
So if that still isn't working, Mike gets two hands in and he creates a little bit of space, and I give it a squeeze and it's not working, and the forearm in the back isn't leveraging it through. I'm going to rotate this hand around front, and I just slide it back around and I grab my far shoulder or lapel. Okay? I don't worry about coming out and over like the Macarena for the older people in the audience, because as soon as I come out like that, he grabs my hand. Okay? Puts it back through there. If I put it on top of his head, he can still reach up and grab and pull it off, okay? But if I'm through here, as soon as I go through, this isn't coming out, okay? I'm just gonna hang out here and go ahead and try and pull it, okay? Even if my chin isn't there and he reaches around back to try and pull this out, I've got a hold of my other shoulder. He's not getting that hand off, okay?
So really, what this is, everybody, this is actually, it is a separate form of the old, this style, figure four, because it's not really figure four anymore. It's just a hand cross. Can you show that again? Because I've seen him choke guys with this, so I know it works. And he slides it through, he just shoves it, and that's why I wanted to show this, because it's a different angle. But notice it's still, you know, it's going to be more of a carotid choke, because he's working the carotids here quite a bit. So it's going to be more of a sleeper hold, as they say in pro wrestling. So
I like it. It's a little bit more efficient. It's the only way I know that if the guy's got two hands in and he's trying to fight it, I can still choke him with the hands in there. Okay? Because I'm usually grabbing my shoulder on this side, or the lapel, and then the edge of my hand is coming in to block it through. Basically, you know, if you're doing a single wing choke, the same kind of move here. Okay? It's just with the rear naked.
But stay with him. You can see the different Hadaka Jime with the square grip, where it's attacking the trachea. Okay, that's a choke. Okay, that's a classic obstruction of the airway. Okay. Now, an older version is like this one, where the elbow is down and he's kind of squeezing there, and that's it. And that's another version with the square grip. Now, if you do the older version of the figure four, there you go. Do the back of the hip over. There you go. And see, that's a classic version, the very old form of Hadaka Jime. They all work. You just got to make it work for you. And I taught that as a basic way to Derek, but he altered it where it worked better for him by sliding his hands in that X crossing fashion. And that's a very, very viable choke. It's more of a strangle, obviously. Yeah. But we call them chokes, we call them strangles, interject. Shime, again, means to pinch something or squeeze it together. Constrict something, and that's what a shime is, okay? In the old days, the neck wasn't the only target to be, you know, in a shime waza. The body, the trunk was like a body triangle or something, or a dojime where you squeeze them together like the old pro wrestlers, you know, the leg scissors, body scissors type thing, you know, having a mind like there. And also that smothering was also considered a shime waza, you know, to constrict his breathing. So sometimes just smothering the guy. So there actually were three variations of shime waza in the very old days of jiu-jitsu into early Kodokan judo, one against the neck, one against the body, and one against just stopping him from breathing. So, you know, if you're a historical geek like me on that, you know, stuff, I love that stuff. But that's some interesting stuff on shime waza. That's why it's called shime waza, to constrict, to stop his breathing. And that's the purpose of it. So there we go. All right. So we play around with stuff. It's fun to do.